The birth management folks are back.
Here they come again. I'll hide at my parents.
Where can you hide?
Dear leaders,
If you run, we'll stop you. Make sure to implement the 3-child policy.
you want to encourage birth? Stop pestering my family. Go bother the rich. Look at our living conditions. Having more kids is a sin for both adults and children.
Only your family has excuses. The Yangs next door are worse off and still have 3 or 5 kids.
They can have theirs, but we can't afford it.
Can't afford it. Were the old generations better off? They still have 3, 5, even 8 or 10 kids.
Don't talk to me about the past. When my mom had me, I was considered over the limit. Now it's my turn and I'm blamed for not having enough. It's like being called fat if I eat too much and picky if I eat too little.
You lack awareness. The situation is complex with widespread aging. The 4-to-1 family structure is unsustainable.
What's that got to do with me?
Are you impervious to reason? I've tried talking nicely, but you won't listen. I'm telling you, I'll take away your rooster and cattle.
Go ahead. Do I look scared? It's not like you haven't taken them before, because I was an extra child. My family's pig and cattle were taken away, even my mom's dowry bench.
Were you kicked in the head by a horse as a child? The past is the past. Times have changed. Whether you have 1 or 2, it's all the same, right? Have kids, then you'll have support in old age. Get on with it and have a child. Let's move on to the next house.
Although the above is quite comedic, it is an accurate reflection of China today.
今天我要给国家道个歉。
I owe an apology to the country. Just yesterday, the family planning office called again, inquiring if I wanted a 3rd child and listed several incentives. Honestly, I love my country and would generally like to comply with the 3-child policy. But with the state advocating for 3 children, hospitals promoting breastfeeding and natural birth, and experts advising that parents should educate their kids themselves, not to mention the societal expectation of women to be both beautiful and financially supportive, in-laws all hopes for their daughter-in-laws to look after their sons and educate the kids as well, at the same time looking after the elderly. I'm already stretched to my limit with 2 kids. To avoid being a burden on society, I've decided against it. Sorry, country. The 80s generation is too tired to have more kids. The 90s don't want to. And most of the 2000s aren't even considering it. This is a snippet from an interview with medical students from Shanghai Jiao Tong University.
What do you think about young people not getting married or having kids nowadays?
It's totally normal. We can't afford it. Look at us. We don't even have jobs yet. How are we supposed to get married and have children? It's perfectly normal. Everyone has their own choices. As long as their family is okay with it and they can handle future uncertainties like worrying about who will take care of them when they're old, if they can manage, there's absolutely no problem. And being single can actually be more liberating.
What if your family doesn't accept it?
Then you just have to convince them. It's because of the money. If we have enough money, of course, we'd want to have kids.
It's the pressure of life. We can't afford it.
I totally support it. Being alone can be very happy. Understandable, I support that.
Because the economy is bad. Studying in Shanghai, I feel the pressure to stay here is huge. For 2 people to have a good life, a good relationship, and more time together, having kids wouldn't meet those requirements.
Respect personal choice.
The pressure to find a job in society is already high, and not having a stable income. Society seems quite frivolous. So, many feel they don't even have a stable income. How could they start a family? Isn't it better to just lay low and enjoy life? I think everyone has their own choices.
It's great, enjoying personal freedom. If your family doesn't accept it, what can you do? Move far away from home. Maybe it's because the pressure from studying is too great for everyone since society is so competitive now. Maybe there's just no energy left to have kids. Focusing on making money is more important. So how does parents view the fact that their children refuse to have kids? Nowadays, many young people aren't getting married or having kids. What do you think about that? It's too expensive. There's no way around it. Childcare, birth, and upbringing costs are too high. And once a child is older, the cost of finding a job and everything else is too high. So people don't want to have kids. Look at us. We can only afford one child, and even then, some choose not to. Kindergartens require all kinds of extra classes. If you don't keep up, you're already behind. So both adults and children are exhausted, and young people are especially anxious. What if they can't keep up with others? It's not just about competition, it's a reality of society. Look at the school fees. If you can't get into a good school, your child is already behind, and it only gets worse from there. It's too expensive, so people choose not to have children. Due to financial constraints, young people in China are hesitant to date, marry, or have children. The previously eager Chinese population regarding childbearing has suddenly become one of the least interested groups. Over a mere decade, from 2013 to 2023, China's population has halved, with its birth rate plummeting to the lowest globally.
Why do you think young people nowadays aren't having kids? They know better than anyone that, in this era, the folks at the bottom of society hardly stand a chance to turn their lives around. People used to comfort themselves with the idea that having children would provide them security in their later years. But with today's housing prices and cost of living, raising a child could drain one's retirement savings. Moreover, if the kids can avoid becoming a financial burden on their elderly parents, that would make them exemplary children. Besides, if I can't provide the best for a child, isn't it unfair to bring them into this world just to see them suffer? Not having children isn't about being selfless. It's practically a noble act of love, both for the young people and for the children they might have had. Those experts who criticize young people for not having kids, calling them selfish, are they going to help raise them?
China's post-90s and post-2000s generation, now without mortgages, car loans, or offsprings, are termed the soliatary individuals. They refrain from working, buying homes, marrying, or having children, a complete void in the conventional life trajectory. A 23-year-old woman interviewed on the street declares herself as a non-believer in marriage and mentally opposed to having children in the future. She cites the myriad survival pressure as a deterrent, unwilling to subject her offsprings to a lifetime of healing from past traumas. When asked whether her perceives child-rearing as excessively difficult, considering previous generations raised children despite economic challenges, she rebuts, rejecting the glorification of suffering by previous generations. Asked about the exacerbating issue of aging demographics due to the current generation's reluctance to marry and have children, the woman laughs. What does that have to do with me? Some argue that China's post-90s generation is a lost generation, and that the post-2000s generation is a generation of empathy. With this trajectory, isn't the family and country doomed? What experiences have the post-2000s generation undergone to become so indifferent to the future?
No one is unlucky forever, unless you're born after 2000. The post-2000 generation faced the one-child policy before they were even born, encountered SARS as babies, had to deal with a melamine milk scandal, bird flu in primary school, and H7N9 wasn't over before COVID-19 hit as they reached university. It's like they've lived through everything except school renovations. Human traffickers targeted these kids when they were young, and university students when they got older. Traffickers must think, I've watched this generation grow.
The post-2000 generation has grown up amidst trained milk powder, recycled oil, and various contaminated foods. They face relentless viral outbreaks. Their bodies often deemed weak yet resilient. Many have narrowly escaped human trafficking, but couldn't evade the substandard school buildings during the Wenchuan earthquakes. Some say it's a miracle they've survived. These children raised amid calamities have a clear understanding of their position in the country. As I put it, our mission is simply to survive. The nation is yours, not mine. Aging demographic, what's that got to do with me? Reportedly, China has 200 million post-90s individuals, but fewer than 10 million couples have married, with a marriage rate below 10%. Among these couples, the divorce rate is a staggering 35%. In major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, the divorce rate reaches an alarming 50%. The remaining half are on the path to divorce. The first batch of post-2000 individual is now 24 years old. Among them, those who married have joined the ranks of divorcees, while the unmarried shows no interest in romance. A female college student graduating from Beijing Sport University interviewed on the street declares she has no intention of seeking employment after graduation this year. When asked if she's dating anyone, she replies, "No, I'm not interested in men." The interviewer continues, "If you had a monthly income of 6,000 yuan, would you take out a $1,000,000 loan to buy a house?" The woman replies, "Definitely not." In a video, a blogger plays a recording of a woman saying, "No matter what tricks developers use, I absolutely won't buy a house. I won't sacrifice decades of happiness for this." If someone wants to argue, saying if I don't buy a house, what about the child's education and getting into a good school catchment area? Then I won't get married either. That settles it. After spending over a decade on education and then working tirelessly for over 40 years, why should I foot the bill for overpriced housing? The blogger comments, "This is what the post-2000 generation is doing now. They've become the biggest enemy of real estate. They can't be manipulated anymore. And what's worse, they're uprooting their own roots." Some say the greatest contribution one can make to the nation now isn't entrepreneurship, but childbearing. To encourage childbirth, governments at all levels are implementing various policies. In February 2023, it was reported that Hangzhou splurged 140 million yuan to encourage childbirth, planning to provide one-time subsidies of 5,000 yuan to families with 2 children and 20,000 yuan to families with 3 children. In Linzhi County, Gansu Province, families having a second or third child are offered a bedroom with the birth of each child. Following the policy implementation, the government claimed that the number of births has significantly increased. This has drawn ridicule from netizens with comments such as, "If you don't understand, just ask. The policy has been in place for 2 months and the number of births has increased significantly. Could it be that pregnancy has been shortened from 10 months to 2? Instant pregnancy?" This policy is great. It can even shorten the pregnancy cycle. It reminds me of the news from before where a child of over 20 days could say, "Mom, you've worked hard. For the gifted bedroom, I still have to buy a house, don't I? I may be poor, but I'm not stupid." On August 22nd last year, on the Chinese Valentine's Day, many netizens in Xi'an, Shanxi province received encouragement to give birth messages, urging them to continue the Chinese bloodline and share the responsibility of the nation's rejuvenation. Officials responded by saying this is in response to the national population and birth policy. Netizens jokingly commented, between giving houses and giving money, they choose to send text messages. Even Guangdong, the leading province in terms of birth rates, has initiated efforts to promote childbirth, implementing a range of measures to facilitate multiple births. But how did the young people respond?
The ultimate reason young people refuse to marry or buy houses has become an unsolvable problem. Why are the wealthy willing to have more children? Because they have vast wealth, their descendants often find pathways into either governmental roles or the realm of business enterprises. So for the rich, having more children is cost-effective. The more they have, the greater the chance to preserve their wealth. But for ordinary people, having children is not worthwhile. The post-90s and post-2000s generation, who spend $2 million to raise a child, end up working for capitalists, for business owners, for society, not for you. Think about the degree of internal competition in society. In many cities, college graduates can only do sales. It means investment in your education has increased. Having a child means buying a bigger house. That's why young people are reluctant to have children. One child, one loss. Clearly, it's a case of social welfare not keeping up. If labor is needed by the country, by society, then the state should bear a higher cost. Otherwise, experts should impose more obligations on young people under the pretense of the greater good for the economy or society.
Forcing people to have children can be quite a challenge. This is totally opposite to the one-child policy era when exceeding birth quotas resulted in fines or job losses, not to mention more severe measures. Meanwhile, things were quite different 4 decades ago. This footage depicts rural women of childbearing age in the 1980s being gathered to undergo sterilization surgeries at family planning stations. In the early 1980s, China initiated its 3-decade-long family planning policy, allowing only 1 child per couple. Slogans promoting family planning were plastered on walls across streets and alleys, whether in rural or urban areas. If you break the law by having children, I will lawfully demolish your house. Abortion is a must, or else we will tear down houses and uproot trees. One person over the limit, the whole village undergoes sterilization. Resolutely crack down on underground birth. Evading the law today won't spare you from consequences tomorrow. Abort it, miscarry it, drain it, just don't let it be born. Better to shed rivers of blood than allow a single excess birth. Increasingly, the slogan has now been altered by someone to change excess birth to fewer births. The slogans of the Chinese Communist Party were not limited to wars. Phrases like evading family planning today, returning home penniless tomorrow, and better to add 10 graves than add one person were the harsh reality at that time. According to Chinese official data, over 30 years of family planning, China reduced its population growth by 400 million people. This figure, touted by the CCP as an achievement of family planning, was praised as a testament to the greatness of the nation. The souls of millions of infants lost to this policy still haunts this land, unable to find peace. Meanwhile, those officials who enforce this policy have ascended to prominent positions due to its implementation. However, the consequences of past actions are now catching up. The accumulated debts of blood will eventually come due, and now, after 3 decades, they are beginning to materialize, proving irreversible. What was once madness has now become desolation. Rudong County in Jiangsu Province, once a model for family planning in China, has now become the country's oldest county. Almost every street and alley is filled with elderly people with white hair. According to the latest statistics, as of 2022, the population over 60 years old in Rudong County reaches 352,400, accounting for 40% of the total population. As time has passed, Rudong County now faces a grim reality. Parents who once had only one child has now entered old age, while their only child are unwilling to marry and have children. In 2022, only 3,095 births were recorded in Rudong County, a decrease of 92.8% compared to the peak period. As the population continues to age, the economy and social functioning of Rudong County has stagnated. The prosperity brought by millions of inhabitants has vanished without a trace. Experts estimate that by 2030, the population of over 30 years old in Rudong County will account for more than half of the total population, surpassing Japan to become the world's oldest age population. Some speculate that China's population may decrease by 100 million in the next 10 years. What does that imply? It means that many industries will be phased out in the future.
Even Jimboree can't survive. Who in the early education sector can? It's tough times for the entire mother and baby industry, severely impacted by low birth rates. On March 19th, Kid Castle in Nanjing suddenly announced it was closing down, stating refunds would be paid out over 25 years. With 28 million in debt and unable to pay salaries or rent, the likelihood of refunds is slim.
According to Chinese media reports, on March 19th, 3 branches of the Jamboree chain of early childhood education institute in Nanjing, Jiangsu Province simultaneously closed, sparking widespread attention. Some parents stated that shortly before the closures, some branches were still encouraging parents to continue their children's classes. If parents wanted a refund, they might have to wait for 25 to 30 years. Publicly available information show that apart from the Nanjing Center, Jamboree's direct operated children's shop in Beijing have also significantly reduced, and sudden closures of stores have also occurred in Shanghai, Chongqing, Jian in Shandong, Shenzhen in Guangdong, Nanchang in Jiangxi, and other places. According to the official website of Jamboree's Early Education, the brand has over 400 franchise centers in nearly 150 cities in China, each operating independently under franchise agreements, mainly providing music, sports, and other related courses for infants and toddlers aged 0 to 60 months. Many parents have pointed out that Jingbao Bei adopts a prepaid system with tuition fees starting from over 10,000 yuan depending on the number of class hours. This blogger warns parents to be cautious and advises them to minimize prepayments for various childcare-related courses and amusement centers, as these businesses are all on the brink of collapse and no one knows when they might shut down. The fundamental reason behind this is that fewer and fewer people are having children. Amidst China's population crisis, the CCP has resorted to the same tactics during the era of family planning, promoting and mobilizing young people to have second and third children. Slogans have been changed to regret not having children, regret for life. One child is good, but two are better, with a sibling to support in old age. And 3 children are ideal. The country won't need to support you in old age. But the effects of this policy push are minimal because this generation of young people is no longer the one indoctrinated by the CCP during the era of isolation and propaganda. They live with clarity, insight, and self-awareness, seeing through the true nature of this regime, and they will no longer be swayed by slogans. There are many ways to resist tyranny, and Chinese youth have chosen the most peaceful yet most destructive, ending the suffering with us and do not perpetuate it onto the next generation.